My whole career was just fucking hard, just disappointment the whole time. I never felt like I was ever like where I was supposed to be ever.
Kev Stewart, welcome to Dubai, buddy.
Dubai's crazy, man. Things just happen out of nowhere. Things just come out of nowhere.
Let's rewind to the beginning.
Yeah, football is all I really remember. But I never had this crazy dream of being a professional footballer.
You didn't really understand the career, you didn't think about the money, you just wanted to keep kicking.
Yeah, literally. Your break can be like around the corner. You never ever know.
Did it feel like a step down?
The Championship is a fucking hard league. It's one of the hardest leagues there is. My aim was always to just prove myself in that age group.
So where did you go to next?
This is when I started really getting interested in business. So I always knew when I finished playing, I'm going to be a coach. So all my content is me basically trying to make him look stupid for not being courageous. I think a lot of people operate from shame. They argue with entrepreneurs all the time about the correlation between fitness, health, and business performance.
It's porn that they're all talking about online for cutting out now, isn't it?
Someone literally DM'd me yesterday with a porn addiction.
Guys, Matt Haycox here for a very croaky voiced episode of the Matt Haycox Show. And I've got with me today, ex-professional footballer, current Dubai fitness coach and good friend of mine, Kev Stewart, all the way from England, another Dubai transplant. So welcome to Dubai, buddy.
Thank you. I think hold on the X because you never know, man. Well, you never know, man. No, it's cool.
I was going to say, you want me to redo the intro or you're going to get back into the game?
No, I think it's just my heart trying to hang on a little bit. But no, I think that's probably going to be me for now, to be fair. But Dubai's crazy, man. Things just happen out of nowhere. Things just come out of nowhere.
How long have you been in now? Like 2 months?
3 months. I think this is my third month. And like I came out here with the mindset to fully retire and just go fully into business. But just meeting people so easily. Like bumped into a football manager out here and he recognized me. He's like, come and train. I was like, all right, cool. I try to train. So you never know, man. But
and you do play for my five-a side as well, so I really actually shouldn't have said X, should I?
Yeah, exactly. As professional as it gets.
That's been your best signing yet.
That's how I'm keeping fit. So,
but before you came here, how long had you planned it for?
Oh, a week.
Oh, literally, it was that?
Yeah, I made a decision in like 3 days.
And what? Because I think you've been out here with the family. I think you weren't moving at that point. I think you'd come on a bit of a holiday.
No, that was literally just a holiday. Obviously, you have we had the convo about, could we live here? But we were thinking like 5 years into the future, or 10 years into the future. There was nothing planned whatsoever when we was on holiday.
But what happened? What made you think that's the place?
I think just the usual things, to be fair, that everyone talks about. So for business wise, so I knew I was going to come out here to do business, right? So I thought, what better place is there to do business? You got the tax, the connections out here are very good. Like the quality of people, the like-mindedness of people around here. It's just easy. It's very easy to connect with people, to meet people. And even on holiday, when I was there for like 3 weeks, I just met so many good people. So I just got the vibe. So then when I decided that I was going to move out the UK, I just naturally just had the pull to go to Dubai. And it's just for the kids, for the family. When you're just at home working all the time in England and the kids are just inside the house all the time, there's not much to do. Here, you just know they're just free. They're probably by the pool. So I think it was an easy choice. I couldn't think of anywhere else.
Did the kids actually understand what was going on?
No, they just think they're on holiday still. Yeah, they love it though. I think they do understand we're here now. They're only 5 and 4. Yeah. They do understand that this is like their life now and they live here. They've not really mentioned the UK since. So yeah, I think they get it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how old you are. Once you get out of England, you forget it very quickly.
Literally.
Well, look, let's rewind to the beginning and let's talk about where it all began. I mean, tell me about your childhood, the beginnings of your football.
Yeah, literally, football was all I really remember childhood-wise. It was just me, my dad, and just football at sport because I did a lot of athletics. So, but I never had this crazy dream of being a professional footballer. I didn't even know what a professional footballer was when I was young. I mean, I'd watch them, but there would never be anything in my mind of like professional football in Premier League. I literally just liked watching it and I liked playing it. So I was just obsessed with playing. My dad was obsessed with training me. So we just everyday training, going around new teams.
How old were you at this point?
When I started, probably like 6, 7.
Mm-hmm. And did your dad play any football himself?
A little bit, like semi-pro, not anything decent, not to a high level. But he was just he just loved sports. He loved athletics. He loves football. So naturally, I just went into that. And we just had fun, man. We were just going around. I would like run races all over the UK. We just find places just to compete. And And that's just literally what the childhood was about. And I was just slowly like progressing through the ranks. I was moving up different levels. I was going to one team, like becoming the best player there, then moving on, and then found my way into an academy by like 12. And then I just kept progressing through the ranks. But it was literally just an obsession for me. I didn't have huge goals of doing anything really. I just knew I wanted to play football.
Yeah, it was just to play football. You didn't really understand the career. You didn't think about the money. You just wanted to keep kicking.
Yeah, literally. Which I think is crazy now, because when I have a coaching platform for aspiring pros. So I work with a lot of like 13 to 22, 23-year-olds. And even the 13-year-olds, they're so goal orientated. They talk about going pro from such a young age, and they're like 10 years off. I think it's a bit detrimental. I try and knock them off of that as soon as possible and try and get them back to just playing and becoming the best at their team, or just improving as a player. They're very, very goal orientated. That's definitely what a huge difference I've seen since I was young.
And who was your academy with?
Spurs.
Okay. Were you from London? Is that
from London? Yeah, North London.
And even though you weren't thinking about going pro, you weren't thinking about the money. I mean, there must have been. It must have been an exciting feeling as a kid to be getting that academy, to be signing for a team as big as Spurs. Well, not signing for a team, but sort of signing for someone like that.
Yeah, it was, because I obviously watched a lot of football, so I knew who Spurs was, but I never made the attachment between like where I was and the first team. I just seen them as like just two completely different things. I didn't really think too much of a pathway to the first team. I just seen like, okay, I'm playing here and they play there. That was literally it. But when I was there, it was literally just about becoming the best in my age group. That's all I cared. I was very like tunnel visioned.
And how many kids do they tend to sign up in these academies? Like in your age group?
My age group alone would be like 20.
And when we talk about age groups, is it like, is 10 an age group, 11, 12, or is it this?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mix. So it kind of goes off school ages. So like year 11, year 10. It's kind of weird how it works, but it's basically by your school years. So if you're a 93, for example, I'm a 93, I would be with 93s and I'd be with 94s, the older 94s. So it's kind of two age groups mixed together, all in one age group.
And is it as ruthless at that age, in terms of kicking people's asses and cutting them and stuff? I mean, can you get signed up as a 12-year-old in the academy, and by 13, you're just not making the grade, you get booted and you're out, or the kids get a bit more slack?
No, it's ruthless. Yeah, true. I probably didn't know as much of what was going on around that time, because I didn't really see behind the scenes. I was just young. I was just like football, training. So I didn't know much or take any notice of what was going on, but it was ruthless. Yeah, if you're not good enough, you're just gone. They don't really help you with anything after that, which I don't necessarily think is their place to do so. But that's another argument that I hear a lot about academies. But yeah, it is pretty ruthless. It's just a business, isn't it?
Any particular memories for you back then of times that it maybe didn't nearly work out, or you were worried about getting cut? Or
no, not that young.
You were too good.
No, I wasn't. I was always one at the bottom of the group when I was younger, always. So my aim was always to just prove myself in that age group, and I managed. I always felt. I never really felt like I was the top of any age group, probably until I was about 18, 19. Before that, I was literally always felt like the underdog. I always felt like I was like about to get cut and I was about to get released. But just through like mindset and character, they would give me another go. That's literally how I felt majority of my career from a youngster.
And how did you kind of behave yourself? Or how did you train when you weren't in the academy? Like you say, you're in the bottom of the groups. You want to get better. You want to make the cut. I mean, what were your kind of personal tactics? I mean, were you a worker? Were you just trying to outwork the other kids? Did you have people that you looked up to, mentors?
Just worker. I was like, whatever other people aren't willing to do, I'll just do it. So I'd pay like the most attention. Anywhere outside of skill, I would win. So like, if we go get a drinks break, I would always be the first one back from the drink break, just to show I'm the most coachable and the most eager. In terms of like tackling, anything that was free, I would do it. So the tackling, for example, I'd be the hardest tackler, I'd be the most aggressive, because that didn't require skill, it was only mindset. So anything mindset based, I would always win. And I think that's why they would look past my skill sometimes and be like, okay, let's just give him another go. Let's give him time. They'd be patient with me because I was just so coachable. So I think that's usually what got me through. And I still was good. I still was a skilled player, but just compared to other people in the academy at that time, I was probably one of the bottom.
And where do you think that mindset came from? Because I mean, particularly at a young age, you normally hear the stories not of someone who was less skilled but great mindset, great attitude. You normally hear about amazing skill but shit attitude, shit everything. You're like wasted talent. I mean, what gave you that mindset?
Actually, no, I don't actually know, but I've always had it from when I was very young. Like when I was just super competitive all the time. Like I'd never want to lose at anything. I would always, from a young age, I could push myself so hard. So I used to do a lot of cross country and middle distance running, and I was like one of the best in the UK. And from a young age, I could just always push myself to a breaking point physically, like until I'd throw up most races because I'd push myself that hard. I don't actually know where it came from. I really don't. But this is what I had, and I've always leaned into it, and I've always used it to my advantage, even to today. Just always willing to do things that other people aren't.
So how do we go from academy to professional career? When did you start playing?
Yeah, so it's slowly, you go from, so how it works, when you sign up for academies, you sign up at a certain age. I signed up at 12. Then every 2 years, you sign for 2 years, and every 2 years you either get cut or you get a new contract. So I just kept working my way up from 12, signed a new one at 14, signed a new one at 16, signed a new one at 18. And I just kept getting by literally until about 18. So that's when I got my first professional contract at 18.
And who was that with?
That was with Spurs.
And so you'd still been with their academy until
Stayed
then?
through the whole way, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And how did that feel?
That was huge. That was the first. No, there was two. So getting your scholar is huge. So you sign at 14, and then in 2 years, that's when you get a scholar. So a scholar is when you leave school, you go full time, you go and you move away from home unless you live really close. You move away, you live with another family, and it's serious now. It's like full time. You get paid. You're now you're not professional, but you're now a footballer. So that was a huge thing, getting a scholar. And then the pros, obviously, that's everything. You're actually now a professional football player. The money's more, and you're in and around the first team at that point. So that was huge. That was like probably one of the most pinnacles of a player's career when they get their first pro contract.
How much was your first contract worth?
What was I on? Probably about 900 a week.
Okay.
900, 950.
And I mean, I should have probably asked you earlier, but what was that like in the context of your upbringing? I mean,
I thought I was rich.
Right, came from a poor
even
background.
when I was a scholar, I was rich. I was getting it's like £500 a week, but I was like fresh out of school. So all my friends didn't have no money. They didn't work. They would go college or A levels or whatever they do after school. So I was, for me, rich. Like I could do anything I wanted. I could get a little car, pay the insurance, everything. Like I could do everything I wanted. So at the time, you feel super rich.
So how old were you? 18?
When I got the scholar, I was 16. And then when I signed my first pro, I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talk me through it. What happened next?
So this is where it starts getting hard. Between 18 and 21 for most footballers is the toughest age, because you're too young to play with the first team. So you're in and around the reserves. The better players can go on loan, but if you're not developed yet, which I wasn't, I was still quite slim physically. I wasn't huge. So you're in a weird scenario where you're just in the middle. You're just floating around. And
if you were going on loan, you'd be going to a loan to a team in a division below, probably then, would you?
Yeah, or 2 or 3 divisions below.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually did get a loan the next year when I was 19 into League One, but it's just a really tough age because you're frustrated. There's certain players that are playing up with the first team, you're not, and then you feel like a bit of a loser because you're playing with the young team and you're the oldest. So it's a really tough place. So it's literally just trying to get good enough and trying to establish yourself in either the first team, in either in the reserves to be good enough to go out on loan and get noticed from another lower league club. So that was a tough period for sure.
And who do you have to look up to? Who do you have to advise you, during that time? I mean, have you got particular, coaches and people around you, or, did you kind of pal up with any of the first team?
Yeah, I had a few really, really good coaches, and I was super lucky to have these coaches. Not a lot of people have coaches this smart and this invested into their players. So I had 2. That was my youth team coaches, who I relied on heavily. Whenever I had any troubles, whenever I needed to just realign, get my mind back, I would go to these 2, and they worked wonders for me. They really helped me out. So they were the ones I'd go to, but I was still going up to the reserves spending a lot of time with the reserves, which is an age group up. And the coaches there, it was a little bit harder. They didn't have that same interest in me. I was trying to like fight for their love and try and fight for their approval. That was super tough. But knowing what I know now in business and how heavy reliant people are on mentors, I should have used, I mean, I was young, but I should have used like first team players more, like as mentors, which isn't really something that footballers do as much, like in business. In business, it's like everyone has a mentor. Everyone just finds someone who they look up to, who's where they want to be, which I had loads of. Like I was around first team players every day, but I never actually went for their advice. I don't know what it was, whether it was like, didn't want to approach them, or maybe.
How do the first team players behave themselves? You know, with regard to the I guess people who are the reserves, the people who are the younger kids. I mean, are they kind of very superior about their position, that they're the big dogs, or are there some good lads out there who really want to help the younger kids?
Mostly the second. There will be a few of the first that make it hard, and when you come up, they'll really give you a tough time. So whether it's out of love or not, I don't know. Sometimes it's out of love, because sometimes you do need that. You do need people to be like, to pressure you, to give you a hard time, because then you build a thicker skin, you build a stronger character. But most of them give you the time of day. Yeah, they were good. They'll give you boots if you ask for it. A lot of the times, most of them will give you the time of day if you ask them.
Give you boots?
They give you boots, yeah. Football boots. So they'll always pass down football boots.
Okay.
So we used to wash their boots.
Oh yeah.
And then usually how it works, the player that you whose boots you washed, like every now and then you ask them for boots, and they just give you a stack of fucking boots, bro. It's the best. Even though like 2 sizes too big.
I was going to say, you got to have me the right size, yeah?
You take it either
been
way.
washing all these boots for 6 months and I get like a pair of size 5s, like fucking hell.
Yeah, literally just tie them up real tight. So the majority of them were good, but they would never, not many of them would just see you struggling and come off their own back and help you. But if you would go up to them and ask them questions, they would give you the time of day and help you out, which I should have utilized more.
So after the loan, did you come back to actually play some games for Tottenham?
No, I played a few pre-season games, but I never made an actual professional debut for Spurs.
And then
I was on the bench a few times.
And then so what happened? Then they cut you, or they sell you, or how did you?
I got cut at Spurs. Yeah, it's when I was 20, I got cut.
Okay,
got released.
How did you feel?
That was a strange one, because I remember one of the coaches that I said that I really looked up to and really helped me. He's like a old school, harsh kind of coach. So we used to always have arguments all the time. And then how I found out, things started getting a bit stale around that point, because the reserve coaches, I think, kind of like lost faith in me. And I went a bit stale. I wasn't really progressing. I was really frustrated. I was in that period that I was telling you about, like the 18 to 21 period where I wasn't going on loan. I wasn't with the first team. I wasn't playing with the reserve sometimes. I was playing down at age group. So I was pissed all the time. So things went a bit stale.
But did you agree that your performance was lacking?
He wasn't consistent. There was times where I would like show who I was. And then there was times it would just be complete opposite, and I was shit. So I knew it went stale. But they've always believed in me to beat wherever I was at the time. Like I've done this from when I was 12 all the way to 20. So I still thought they would keep giving me a chance. But what they said was that they think it's better for me if I left, because they just couldn't see a pathway here for me, which is fair. But how I found out, I was arguing with him because he was basically telling me that I've been shit, and I was giving it back to him. And then he just came out and said, "Well, look, you're being released anyways." I was like, all right. Literally in front of everybody, like in front of the whole team. And I just remember at the time, I knew that things were a bit stale, but I just believed in myself. So at the time, I was like, well, that's fine. It's their loss then. That's literally what I said to him at the time. Because I felt like I needed a bit of a fresh start, and I would be successful somewhere else in a new environment. So at the same time, I was gutted because I grew up there. I had so many memories there, but I needed something different.
And how common is it to be cut with nowhere to go to, as opposed to trying to be sold on?
How do you mean?
Well, as in, so you were cut, but you didn't have another team to go to, as opposed to them, being transferred, being sold out.
Oh yeah, completely different. Because now you're literally just going around like as a trialist.
But I was going to say, like, are the majority of people who leave, are they cut or normally? Are people
cut. Transferred? Most of them around that age group. Most of them are cut.
Okay.
Yeah. It'd be you've done well if you get sold. Like someone's actually wanted you and they want to spend money on you.
Okay.
So yeah, most people get cut. 90% of people get cut.
And presumably you've got an agent back then, have you, who's going out there to help you go and find somewhere else?
Yeah, so he would just literally get as many trials as possible. So I probably went to about 5 or 6 trials at loads of different clubs. But that's a tough time, man, going around the trials.
And how long is this going on for? Are you cut kind of like before the end of the season so you can try and get somewhere ready to be starting for next season?
Yeah, so it was like the last couple months of the season. And then you go towards the end of the season. Hopefully you get started like pre-season or even before that if possible.
And when they cut you, are you still training with them? Are they still expecting you to do stuff, or do they not really care at that point anymore?
No, you can stay. You can stay. They at that point, because I've been there for so long, and I've gone through the ranks for a long time there. It was really like a dad and son with some of the coaches. So they would let me train there for as long as I needed at the time. So I did stay there for a few months before I went out on trial, if I remember correctly. So they do look after you to that extent, but then after that it's like bye-bye.
So where did you go to next?
I went on a few trials. I went to Ipswich on trial, went to Burton Albion on trial. Where else did I go?
We have to go on Wikipedia for you, aren't we?
Sheffield United. That wouldn't even be on Wikipedia. Sheffield United, I went to, who I nearly signed at. I think I went to like 2 more, but they're the ones I remember.
And where did you get signed?
Liverpool.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Liverpool. It was really strange. So one of the coaches that I said, before I got released, he moved to Liverpool as a coach. So I started trialing and I was going to sign for Sheffield United. And I remember getting in contact with him and he was like, just wait, don't sign anything because I'm going to try and get you here at Liverpool, which isn't as an easy decision as you might think, because Sheffield United was like, I think they were League One or Championship at the time. So I was going to go in, they loved me. I was going to go in and start playing like proper men's football. Or it was go to Liverpool, which it wasn't first team, it was academy. I was going to go with the academy. So I'd have to work my way up. Same thing again, which is a huge risk. I'd have to go and put myself in the same position as I was at Spurs in that fucking weird era of being 19 to 21, 22, and then just try and fight my way up. But then, he ended up getting me in. And I just made the decision.
Why did you make that decision?
I supported Liverpool as a kid.
Okay.
So it was like, I couldn't.
It was as simple as that.
Yeah, but I still, with him being there, I knew he would push me. So I felt like at Spurs, the guys that pushed you to the first team, they didn't really like me, just as a person or as a player. So I knew I was always fighting against odds that I couldn't win. So I knew if I was there with someone who would push me, I'd have a good chance. So I just backed myself, put my trust in him, and made that decision.
And how long did it take you to get from academy to playing the proper games?
About a year and a half.
Oh, really?
Year and a half to make my professional debut, 22. Year and a half, yeah. No. Yeah, year and a half.
And I mean, how was that time? I mean, like, to me, it sounds a long time, a year and a half. Like I'm thinking, fuck, have I made the right decision here? I could have already been playing for Sheffield. Were there times when you thought it might not happen?
Yeah, defo, 100%. Like, but there, I was going out on loan there, which broke it up a little bit. And it was a new environment. It was a new city that I was in. So it was a little bit different. It had like newness to it. So I wasn't as frustrated, but things were still hard. My loans were extremely hard when I was at Liverpool. They were tough. And as well, I'm one of the oldest now as well. So I'm with the reserves. I'm like 21, 22. All these guys are like 17, 18. So I feel like someone who's like an adult who's in kindergarten, basically. Yeah. So it was hard for me to not be frustrated. And then with the manager that was in at the time, my pathway still again felt blocked because he liked me, but not enough to keep me there. So it was just super frustrating, man. Like literally, I'd done a podcast over there. I was telling him that the game brought me to tears a few times, just out of frustration, out of disappointment, heartbreak. So it was tough.
Yeah, we've not mentioned your dad again for a while, but obviously he was with you through all the kind of teenage years or the childhood years. Where was he at this point? Was he by your side?
But he was in London though, so I'd moved to Liverpool now by myself. So I was living by myself. But we speak literally every single day. But in terms of obviously he wasn't in and around it every single day. So that even became hard because when things aren't going so well, it's hard to just speak to other people about it, like constantly updating them and going back through how shit things feel right now. So that was tough. But the one thing that always kept me going is that I just love playing football. So I was always like, I'd never go into training feeling like this is shit. I was like, I just got another day to prove myself, another day to play. I didn't actually care that much that the guys were younger than me. I just want to dominate them. If I'd got with the first team, I just want to dominate them. I never really got too starstruck. So like I'm making it sound dreadful, but I actually loved every single day. Like I loved playing, I loved training always.
And when you made that first team debut, how far in advance do you know that that's going to happen? Is it like, oh, you're going to play next week, Kev, or is it like, okay, we think we're ready with you now, so over the next 2 or 3 months we're going to find a time for you?
Yeah, no, out of nowhere. I was literally at my lowest point before I made my debut. That's why I always tell all the aspiring pros, you have to keep going, because this isn't even just football, it's life, but your break can be like around the corner. You never ever know. I was on loan at Swindon and I couldn't make the team. I was out the squad. I've never felt less of a professional footballer in my life. So usually you train every single day. Because they were playing 2 games a week and I wasn't making the squad, I would only train like 2-3 times. I was actually going back to London and playing 5-a-side with my friends to like play some football. So it was the worst. So I remember always thinking like, how am I ever going to play for Liverpool if I can't make a League One team? I can't even get in the squad, not even on the bench. I was like, I'm fucked. I don't actually see a pathway to anywhere. And then I ended up playing a cup game where all the players that haven't been played. I got injured on my knee, so I went back to Liverpool for rehab, and I ended up staying there. And then through there, that's when I ended up making my debut. So I only made my debut because I couldn't get in the first team at Swindon. So I ended up staying, or otherwise I would have went back, right, and I would have never made that debut. So that's crazy. And
what did the Liverpool guys see in you that you probably weren't feeling yourself? You're at your lowest point, but what had changed for them that they wanted to play you?
Yeah, they just always believed in my attitude. Again, it just always went back to attitude and mindset. But now I was a lot more skilled as a player, so I was very good. But just timings were just always off. The timings just never matched up. But they always just believed in my ability, in my mindset that if I really showcase myself properly, then someone will take me. So even there'll be times where I always believed in myself, but I kind of lost the vision sometimes, and they would always put me back onto it. And I also met another coach who was amazing for me while I was at Liverpool as well. So I had 2 again that were really just pushing me all the time. And then it was when we changed manager, that's when Klopp came in. That's when I had a real break, because the way I played was like exactly how Klopp likes to play. So straight away when he came in, I was like, okay, I think my chances are better here. And then literally within a few months of him being there, that's when I got in.
And how many games did you play for Liverpool? 7 or
20? Played 20.
I'm thinking of the other players. And how long's that across?
That was probably about another year and a half, maybe
okay,
2 years.
So once you started playing, you got pretty regular at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I was a first team player. I was up the first team. I wasn't literally moved. I moved to the first team changing rooms, but I was still like on the fringes. I wasn't an established player. I wasn't starting. I was like coming on some of the matches. I was playing all the cup games, and I was just trying to break through. There's obviously established England internationals that I was competing against. I was trying to get in. So I'd never established myself as the main centre midfielder in Liverpool. But I was fighting for a place. I was getting in. I was playing. I was coming off the bench.
And how does it make you feel in terms of your confidence for going forward? Like, is it like, oh, okay, I've made my Premiership debut now. I'm playing these big games. Okay, I'm not going to fall back down the ranks again. Even if things don't work out with Liverpool, I've got a base now. I've started to establish myself. Or are you still always on the back foot that you never know what's around the corner?
No, at that time, I was thinking around that. I think at that point, I did feel established. Like, I'm making obviously better money now as well. And I felt like no matter what, I played for Liverpool, and people will understand that. And not anyone just gets a chance to play for Liverpool, and no manager at Klopp's level just plays anyone. So I always knew I'd have that. But I still didn't feel like enough. I was still trying to fight. I was still trying to get to the first team. I still didn't feel like where I was good enough, which it was at the time. And I wish I could have relaxed a little bit more. But I was like, no, this ain't good enough. I need to play all the time. Coming on ain't enough. So I always had that.
And you talk about making more money at this point. And I mean, had money started to become of interest, of importance to you?
No, do you know what? It hadn't. I started thinking, all right, soon I'm going to start making some real money. But I remember I was like playing games for Liverpool, and I was on I would have been on the pitch with players that were making 50, 100 grand a week. I was still on 2.5 grand a week.
Right.
And I wasn't bothered. Like I could have went in and be like, can I have some more money? Like I'm literally on the pitch I'm probably the lowest paid player on the pitch. But I never did. I was like, I wasn't that bothered. I was so happy with where I was football wise that I didn't even ask for it. And then it was actually Klopp that came and said, you need to put him on more money. Because I think he came and asked me. I think he came and checked, he checked with someone. He checked how much I was on. And then he actually like instructed them to give me more money. So when I made that, started making more money, then it started becoming more of a thing for me.
And did you start spending? Were you young and reckless, or did you?
No, I was the opposite. I always had this mind. I always knew what I was doing was like a fleeting skill, that it was never going to last. And still now, I just don't believe footballers should ever think that they know how to make money, because one day the skill that the income they're going to get is going to be cut off, and the skills that they have, you can't make money no more unless they become a manager, which isn't an instant thing. They're employees basically. They're not entrepreneurs. They don't know how to make money from anywhere else. And I always knew that as a young kid. So I saved a lot. I didn't ever want to spend it on anything.
And were you just saving, or were you investing? Were you doing anything with it?
No, I was just saving. It wasn't. I didn't have enough at that time. The very early stages, I didn't have enough money to invest. So I was just saving. I would give my dad money. That's probably about it. I had my own place. Oh no, tell a lie. Actually, not too long after, I did buy a flat. Yeah, I bought a flat.
Down in
Liverpool, in City Centre, yeah.
And so 20 games for Liverpool. Why did that come to an end?
I got sold. So it come to a really frustrating point. Same kind of scenario, from Spurs. It went a bit stale again. So I stopped making as many appearances. Had some I wouldn't say bad performances, but not as good performances. So I kind of come out of favour a little bit. And I just wanted to play, man. I just wanted to be a part of something. I wanted to compete. I was just training all the time. Then I was going back playing games with the 23s. And I was just like, I've just done this enough now. I've done it at Spurs, and I'm doing it now. So I just wanted to be a part of something. So I wanted to go on loan originally, but they wouldn't let me go on loan because they would, I think at the time they would had to replace me with someone else because they needed me as backup at the time. So it was either I stayed in the same situation as where I was, or I'd have to go on a permanent. So Hull came in for me. They were really keen, so they just accepted it. And I just went. And
how did you feel? How did you feel about that? I mean, did it feel like a step down?
Naturally, yeah, because they just got relegated from the Premier League, but the hopes was always to go and play and then go straight back up to the Premier League, which did not happen. But at the time, I was excited. I was excited to play. I was excited to go somewhere and be like the main player. But at the same time, it was leaving Liverpool, man. So it was kind of crazy. Like I worked so hard to get there. It was like obviously a childhood dream to play for Liverpool. I grew up supporting them. So to leave was a bit mad, and I probably left prematurely. But at the time, I was just too eager to play.
Did you play with any Liverpool players who were kind of childhood idols before you were actually playing?
I trained with Gerrard, which was a massive deal. That was probably the one guy who actually kind of got starstruck by. So Gerrard, no one young. Everyone there had left. A player called Martin Skirtle. To be fair, he was still there, but most players had left.
Got old.
Got old.
So what happened at Hull?
It sounds, it's mad, but this is actually the case. My whole career was just fucking hard, just disappointment the whole time. I never felt like I was ever like where I was supposed to be ever. So Hull was even worse. It just tanked at Hull. It was a team were expected to get promoted straight away, but 80% of the team left, so there wasn't even any Prem players left. And this was like as I was signing. And then the Championship is a fucking hard league. It's one of the hardest leagues there is, for sure. I think it's harder in some respect, harder than the Premier League.
Why? Because everyone's trying to go up, desperate not to go down. And
desperate, yeah. It's so competitive. It's the most games that you play. So physically, it's so hard. All the players are like, they're of a Prem standard. It's weird. Like a lot of them are good enough to play in the Prem, but they're just not there. And they're just all so hungry. So there's no game that's easy. No one has respect for anyone in that league. No one like sits off any team. Everyone's just after each other all the time. It's just super competitive. So it was really hard. And the manager that signed me, that loved me, he got sacked in like 6 months. and a new manager came in, and then there was just loads of friction with me and that manager. So I wasn't playing again. I had a lot of injuries in Hull, so it was just super hard, man. It was like mentally just tough. I was just having mental challenges every single day, but I just always fell to the strength of I love playing football. I love competing, and I always liked the challenge of trying to overcome something. So that kept me going, but it was always tough.
How long was your tenure there for?
3 years.
Okay.
3 years, a long time.
And why did that come to an end?
I left, contract came to an end, didn't resign, they got relegated. They were cutting their wage bill. I was like the highest paid player there. So I didn't stay on. And it was like end of COVID as well, so everything was fucking weird then. I was literally right in the midst of COVID when I left.
So we're talking, what, 2020-ish?
2020, yeah, the midst of it. I remember that I was training and all the COVID news came out and then all our games got cancelled. So everyone just literally stopped training right then and then and just went to the pub. It was the weirdest time ever.
And your missus, who you with now, mother of your kids, at what point did you guys get together along this journey?
Through Liverpool, towards the end of Liverpool. And then she moved to Hull with me when I left. So that was when we lived together. That's when I moved to Hull.
And how was it having a relationship, during these times? I guess both good and bad. Was she supportive, or do you like to kind of get your head in your own zone and ignore what goes on at home?
Yeah, people don't actually realize that. I think like girlfriends of footballers get a lot of slack, get a lot of stick, but it's one of the toughest things to do for them, because football's so up and down, and football is so attached to our identities that when things aren't going well, we're just pissed, and it's so easy to bring it home, and it's so easy to put it on them. So like all these challenges that I go through, she has to go through it as well. But I'm not someone who likes help, and I'm not someone who likes a cuddle or emotion. So she probably feels like a lot of the time that she can't help because she can't really fix anything that goes on at football. So the amount of times I've come home in crutches, the amount of times I've come home in a boot, the amount of times I've come home and I've not played and I'm just like continuously pissed. They have to take all of that and try and keep the mood high in the house. So it's tough for them, super tough. So she's always supportive. She's always obviously tried to do everything she could. She obviously prepares everything for me. She makes the food. She upkeeps the house. She looks after the kids. So she's always been super supportive, but it's always been super tough for her. That's how the move to Dubai came, because like it's just been too much now. Like just going through too much adversity in football. I wanted more control. I was dragging them around the whole of fucking the UK, and I just felt like I just lost control of my life. I was like, no, I need more control now. I've done it now. I've achieved a lot of the things I wanted to achieve. So that's where the decision actually came from.
I mean, did things ever get so bad at work that it would risk your personal life? You talk about dragging them around the country and coming back in bad moods and stuff. I mean, were there times when it was getting too much and you could have split up?
No, never. No, I was actually really good at not bringing it home, especially when we had kids as well. I just refused to bring it home. So. And I just naturally had really good resilience. So I never really got too down where I'm like, I'll take an hour of being down and then I'm back and I'm ready to go again the next day. But a lot of players struggle. A lot of them do bring it home. A lot of that does happen. A lot of relationships do get put on the line. But mine was never like that.
So COVID, Hull finishes. Where'd you go to then?
Crazy time in my life. I went everywhere. I bounced from team to team. So COVID happened, all teams cut their budget. Like no one wanted to spend any money. No one knew what the fuck was going on. Everyone was scared. There was no fans in the stadiums. No one was making money.
Did you play any games during COVID?
I did, yeah. But the back end of COVID, it wasn't as bad. Not in that beginning stage of it.
But did you play anything when there was no fans in the stadium?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Weird. Oh, so weird. Like that, you don't have as much adrenaline, and you can hit everything. It's just like a training game. So it was crazy. Like it's a lot harder to focus without the fans, because the fans like force you into a zone. But there, you just hear everything. You could hear what the manager was saying easily. It was literally just like a training game. So I think the standard naturally just dropped. It was a weird time. So I played a good like 10 matches with no fans.
So I interrupted you. You were telling me you were saying it's a weird time and.
So I was bouncing around from club to club. Everyone cut their budgets. I had a few offers at the start. But I was like, I'm not going to accept that. They were quite low, but I didn't know what was going to happen.
Were you bouncing around, as in going for trials, or bouncing around playing games like on?
I was just trying to keep fit, so I was training with clubs. I went to one club that was like a trial thing. I went to Brentford, but yeah, I was just trying to stay fit. I went back to Liverpool. They let me use their facilities and carry on training to stay fit, because this was like I couldn't train anywhere. I had to be by myself the whole time, so I was just training by myself for months. I went without a club for like 7 months. It was mad. And
how do you feel during that time? I mean, did you think that could have been the end?
Yeah, it was shit, because games are still going on. You're still watching it on TV, so you got to watch the whole of every single game every weekend. You're not involved. You're just training by yourself. You're at a park, fucking setting cones out. Someone's dog's coming and taking the cones off your fucking session. It was mad. It was the hardest time. That was probably one of the hardest times of my career. And what made it worse is that I went to Turkey. I was actually going to go and sign. I don't think I was even allowed to go to Turkey. The club somehow got me in. The COVID restrictions were mad. Like, you couldn't even travel, but somehow I got in. And I had a full-on medical. I was ready to go. I was fully going to sign. My kids and missus were in the UK. And they just started stalling for some reason. It was a weird culture. It was really hard to understand the people over there. So everything was just up in the air. I was like, why are they not sending me the contract through? So I was just in a hotel for like 2 days and not received nothing, not heard from no one. And Boris is on the TV talking about closing the borders. So I was trying to get my kids and missus out there as well. But I wasn't hearing anything. So I ended up literally just getting on the plane and just leaving, and that was that. And then from there, I had an offer from Blackpool since the beginning of last season, but it was in League One. I didn't want to do it. So I just kept turning that down. And then after that happened in Turkey, I just literally flew home. I was like, I can't do this no more. I just signed, got playing again.
And that was signed with Blackpool?
That's how I signed for Blackpool. Yeah. Mad time.
And I mean, did you ever, were you thinking during that 7 months that, maybe it's time for me to hang my boots up and do something else, or were you still?
No. Yeah, no, I wasn't there. I always knew I had Blackpool. I always knew I had that. And I had League One clubs that I could go to, but I didn't want to. I just couldn't drop to the level. So I always knew that I was going to play somewhere. Something was going to open up. I didn't think it would take that long. Like 7 months is a fucking long time. And just COVID made it worse. Like, life just wasn't normal.
How long did you play for Blackpool for in the end?
Just under 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just under 3 years.
I think that's probably about the kind of time we met. Well, probably the middle.
Yeah, it was.
Middle of your Blackpool time.
Yeah.
I came on your podcast at the time.
Yeah.
Which feels like 2021.
Yeah, around then. 21.
Where'd the podcast come from?
Podcast came from, this is when I was at Hull, when I just left Hull, this is when I started really getting interested in business. So I was like studying it, I was networking, I was just trying to learn as much as I could. Like, it kind of tied into me knowing that as athletes, it's short-lived and I need to be more business-minded for the future and to take care of what I have now.
And what do you think made you think that or know that? Because obviously I couldn't agree more. But it's not really something you see other professional footballers thinking. And I think as well, the people who aren't in the sport also don't help them think like that either, because they go, you're on fucking 70 grand a week, 100 grand a week or whatever.
That's even more reason why they need to do it.
Well, yeah, because, it doesn't really matter how much money they're on. They get used to spending at that level.
Exactly.
And then it falls off. So yes, okay, obviously you're in a better starting position if you're on 100 grand a week than if you're on 3 grand a week. Yeah. But you're still subject to the same.
You're more
issues,
exposed.
Same
when you make that much more money, I think you're actually more exposed to an extent, because it started. So I was at Hull. I was making really good money at Hull, but I remember I kept getting fined, and I kept getting. I had a big tax bill, and I just remember being pissed. I remember ranting to my missus, saying they're always fucking taking money off me all the time.
Getting fined for what?
Like driving fines, tax.
I thought you meant you were getting fined by the club.
No, from fucking government. And I remember just being super pissed off. And I was like, there must be a way, there must be loopholes where I need to start getting some money back. I don't know why I was so pissed. I was just super pissed. So I started learning about tax, and I was online learning about tax. And bear in mind, what you know about tax, footballers know nothing. Most footballers don't even know that if you buy a pair of boots, if you buy some equipment that helps you with your profession, that you can claim that back. You can put it as a tax deductible. They literally do. I didn't know that. So I started learning about that. Then I came across property. And then I just stuck to property. Like I really started wanting to understand it, wanted to learn all the strategies, and it just snowballed. And I literally started meeting people, started watching videos just like every single day. Started watching Samuel Lee's, Grant Cardone, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You start reading that, and then it just snowballed from there. And I just got more interested and more interested. And the more I could apply it to my life, then I was like selling houses to put it into something better. And it just snowballed from there.
And what made you start your podcast?
That to learn more, to build up a network,
but to be able to interview these kind of people.
Yeah, to learn how they think, so I could apply it to my own life, and then make connections. Just continue learning, more opportunities, but mainly to learn and share it with other footballers, because a lot of them were listening. That was the main reason.
The ones that were listening, I mean, were they kind of younger ones, or were you able to kind of get the ear?
It's a mix. It was a mix. Probably more so the older ones. They were more interested. They're less of in a bubble. They start to realize, okay, they got kids, they got a mortgage. They want to know if they're doing things correctly. They're more money orientated. So they're thinking about, okay, how can I get money back from tax? Because I spoke about tax a lot on it. I had a few tax guys that came on. So yeah, more so the older ones that are like thinking about the transition in their minds.
And what have you been doing with your own money at this point? I know you said you bought the Liverpool flat earlier, and then you've been saving up when you were younger. Had you started to make any other investments to any other things?
So I had that, which is actually decent. That actually made me a bit of money. I didn't plan to. I literally just thought at the time it's good to just buy a flat, which I wouldn't have done it again, but it actually turned out being all right. But I bought a flat in London. It was like £1 million that I bought, and it was just the dumbest thing ever. And I ended up to be fair, it wasn't that stupid. It's better than spending it, but it's not something that any of my property mentors would have advised me doing at the time. But it was before that. So, but it was better than spending it. I had it. It was there. So I had those two. And then when I started learning about property, and I started learning about ROI, and I started learning about how much my money's working, and I'd done the numbers on those deals, I was like, fucking shit, I need to get rid of these. So then, I sold them.
And the Liverpool one you sold for more than you bought it, presumably. Yeah. What about the London one?
I took a loss on that.
Oh, really?
I could have kept it, but I just thought I had other opportunities that I think would be better. I'd prefer to just cut my losses now, and then by the time it would probably take me to make money on that, I could have made more elsewhere.
How much did you lose on it?
Maybe about 40 grand, 50 grand.
Okay, so not horrendous.
Yeah, not huge,
okay.
Not horrendous. Yeah, about 40, 50 grand.
And what did you move on to next?
Student accommodations from the ground up in Birmingham.
Actually building them?
Building them, yeah.
With a partner?
Partner, yeah, for sure. So one of my really close friends now, he's a property developer in Birmingham, and he had a few deals. And it didn't even start off like that. It literally just started off with me reaching out to him, learning from him, told him my goals, what I'm interested in, what I'm looking to do. And then opportunity came on, and I just went all in. At the time, I had money in stocks and shares through COVID, and I pulled it out just before COVID started happening, and then put it into that.
How did you pick your stocks and shares?
No, a company did it all for me.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah. Typical.
Passive stuff.
Yeah.
And how did it feel getting involved with the developments? And I mean, were you actively doing anything yourself, or were you just watching your mate and learning from him, or did you have some jobs to do?
I got involved as much as I wanted to. So I got involved in like the designs. I was trying to learn a lot about how it all worked. I was really interested in like the finance side and the relationship between him or us and the lenders and the banks. So that was interesting. So he would copy me in all the emails, so I can just see like the transactions and the conversations that were going on. The construction side was just fucking boring as fuck to me, so I didn't really get involved in that. Although I liked going there, seeing it be up one level, going home, coming back. Then it was a second level. That was cool. So I had little jobs, but involvement weren't crazy.
And what were some of the biggest lessons or kind of biggest eye openers that were a total surprise to you that would be advice that you'd be handing down to other people who are kind of trying to learn the ropes on the property ladder?
Is it anyone in general or like footballers?
Oh, and anyone in general.
I think when you're starting, don't start by yourself. Like there's just no way I would have lost 100%. It would have been a huge mistake. It would have been messy if I'd done it myself. So I'd lean on somebody else if you have something to offer. So obviously I had capital at the time, so I really leaned on him, and yeah, I'd advise anyone starting a property, just learn from someone, whether it's paying for coaching, whether it's, courses, whether it's just trying to get in. You got to use whatever resources you have. So just try and get in with someone experienced, someone with a track record, and then just to follow their lead.
And were there any particular things you saw where you thought, well, I'd have done it in this way, but my mate's the expert, and he's told us to do it like this, so I'm going with him. But wow, thank fuck I didn't make that mistake. No.
I didn't even think about my own way one bit. No, not at all. So I just let him run with everything. Yeah.
And have you still got any of these investments going on now, or has everything wound down now you've moved to Dubai?
It's wound down, yeah. So we just completed the phase 2. So there's 2 buildings that we done, literally like both together now as one project. That finished. Summer just gone, so now they're just operating. So I haven't invested in anything else since.
And have the returns been what you hoped for, what you expected?
Yeah, well, so through COVID, it made the deal a lot tighter. They're still very good deals. We made a lot of money on paper so far. And so like the rates, and it's student accommodation, right? So we pay for the utility bills.
You're keeping them. These aren't things that you'll sell.
No. Now, originally our plan was to hold, but the deal got a bit tighter through COVID, and it wasn't. The cash flow wasn't as good as what it was going to be before COVID, but it still worked. Numbers still stacked, and it's still a good investment. A lot of the money is made on paper, so the valuation like shot up, which is amazing. So yeah, our strategy has probably changed to sell them. We probably will do maybe in the next few years.
Well, let's talk about the fitness guy.
Yeah, fitness guy.
That's what it's called.
Me
right?
now. Yeah. Who's gonna know?
No, I guess I want to know. Yeah, where the idea came from to do this business. Or not so much the idea. I mean, obviously, it's been in your story, in your background. But why you want to coach? Why you like adding value in that way?
Yeah. For a few years, I felt like a coach. So a lot of like people around me.
It's an accidental coach.
Yeah, an accidental coach. And people around me. And as naturally as you get older in football and you've been through a lot, I remember a lot of the times I was always the oldest player playing down. So a lot of them always see me as a coach. Mm-hmm. So I always just found myself coaching and helping them out and mentoring. And I always had a hard time. So I always related to other people and their struggles and them trying to walk the same path that I did. So I just naturally had it in my heart to always coach. And then I always liked being coached. So I always, even outside of football, I paid for coaches. I paid for mindset coaches because I was always trying to improve. I was always feeling like I wasn't enough and I need to get better. So I was constantly searching for coaches, searching for mentors. So I was always around it. I was either coaching myself or I was being coached. And then things just started to piece together. The more obviously I got coached, the more I was learning. The amount of adversity that I went through just made me stronger. And I just naturally had all the resilience and the mindset. So slowly I was like building up a really strong character that I wasn't even that aware of because I always thought I was doing shit. And when I got to a certain age, I just felt like a bit unbreakable now. So I just thought I had to just start offering it to other people. And I always find it hard to see other people struggle. I really don't like it. So I've always wanted to build my skills up as a coach and as a person to be able to help people in any situation. And then it was probably my last mindset coach that I had at the time who said I should coach. So I always knew from now, when I finish playing, I'm going to be a coach. So I always had that in my mind. I didn't expect it to be this soon, but I knew I was going to be a coach. But
were you doing any of it before you left England, or was it a new start here in Dubai?
Yeah, so I was coaching Aspiring Pro. So I started that company while I was playing.
Yep.
And I also wanted to push that out to other individuals, just generic people. So I did a month of coaching because I was just really curious and I really wanted to see how it worked. I did a month of coaching for free. I literally just put on my Instagram, I'm going to coach 10 people. At this time, I was posting a lot of mindset online. So I was posting like a lot of philosophy, a lot of stoicism, all the books I was reading. I was like writing messages that I just cultivated in my mind that I thought would be of value. And then a lot of people were intrigued by that. I was getting a lot of people DMing me. So I was like, I'm going to open the space up for 10 people. And I started coaching and I really liked it. And I really helped a lot of people in that time. And it really brought to light how many people struggle that you don't even know. Like some of my closest friends come to me and I found out some of them were suicidal that I didn't even know before. So it now started giving me a purpose. I'm like, fuck, I have to do this now.
And what do you find, or I would say, do you find that there are some kind of regular common mindset issues or blockers with the everyday man, the everyday woman, the things that are coming up time and time again?
Yeah. I think it's they've been like suppressed by society to live the way that they want to live, and they get like all their ideas and the fear of everything just suppresses how they actually want to live and think and the things they want to do, and they're not courageous enough to push past it. So they just feel depressed. Like imagine that you work a job that you don't want to work because you're scared of what other people would think if you try and build something new. I think that's the main problem. So all my content is me basically trying to push them to be more courageous, trying to make them look stupid for not being courageous, because I know that's just the one thing that's gonna spark them. I think a lot of people operate from shame. So if everybody else around you is living a life they don't want to live, then you're going to be more inclined to do the same. So I'm trying to people sound quite harsh with how I speak online, but it's for a reason, because if I be nice, nothing's going to change. So I feel like I have to push people. I have to embarrass them to change in the way they are. Because then after, I think they'll then appreciate the fact that that's probably what they needed. And that's been the case a lot.
And how much does fitness sit hand in hand with this? I mean, are the two, is mindset and fitness inextricably linked, or are they two different but complementary skills?
Completely linked. And a lot of the guys that struggle, majority of them are struggling physically as well. And I'll tell the story after actually of why how I know it's so linked. But I used fitness to overcome a lot of my problems. Like I used the gym to overcome a lot of my problems. So it was a bit like therapy for me.
And when you say use the gym, like, are we talking like in the same way that, for example, I don't know, Steve's pissed off, he's had a bad day, where he comes home and he opens a bottle of wine, or opens a beer. That's his escape or whatever.
Yeah. Except that's an escape. When you go to the gym, you can actually address what the issues are. It allows you, if you go to the gym and you have a bit of isolation, you know how it feels when you go to the gym. You always feel good after. You've never left the gym and felt like shit.
Absolutely. Yeah. No matter how much you don't want to go there, no matter how much you
after
don't like
it's the best.
Yeah.
But if you really focus, and this is what a mentor of mine really brought to light for me, is that if you're conscious enough in the gym to feel your mind elevate, you'll feel it elevate past your problems, and you can only be in solution mode at that point. So like when you wake up and you're in the bed, sometimes some of your worst thoughts happen there. I don't know why. But you just feel so negatively when you're just like in bed, you're laying, you're thinking about all your problems, and all you can see is problems. But when you get up, you go to the gym, you start working, it flips, and you can only think about solutions. So all the times I needed to overcome like a self-limiting belief, a fear, it all happened for me while I was just exercising, while I was in the gym in isolation. So I feel like if people can adopt that and start getting healthier habits, then they'll fix a lot of their problems. Instead of running to drugs, to run into alcohol, where it just numbs the pain rather than actually allow them to sit in it and overcome it. It gets worse in that scenario. So when you're stressed, when you have problems, what do you run to? Do you run to something that builds you, or do you run to something that makes you weaker? And the drugs and alcohol make you weaker. Gym makes you stronger. There's solutions there. There's only problems there. So that's how I try and combat it. I try and make people sound right now, all alcohol and a lot of drugs are glorified. Like alcohol is definitely glorified. So all the young players that I see, they get peer pressured into drinking, and people that are working, all their co-workers, they drink, and they actually feel stupid for not drinking. So people have to try and reverse it and make them seem stupid for drinking. So that's what I try and do.
Do you drink at all?
Not at all.
You're completely teetotal?
Completely.
For how long?
4 or 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And before those 4 or 5 years, were you much of a drinker?
I was never a big drinker. No. I would drink like on occasions. I'll go out with my friends, I'll drink. If I was ever out, I'd drink, and I wasn't out that much. But there were times where I did drink. I never got blackout drunk. It was always like a responsible amount. But then when you realize the impact that it has on other people that you drink, if people look up to you and you're now a coach and they're struggling with things and they know that you drink, it doesn't make sense. You can't tell them to not. If you know drink is not good for them and is ruining their life, they can't see you drinking. Yeah. So I'm like, I've got to just cut it out completely.
And that's what made the cut for you?
Yeah, I just like, there's no point. I didn't even enjoy it anyways. So I just cut it out completely.
I mean, it's such a big thing now in terms of. I mean, I think we've all got mates who are quitting for a year or quitting for a period of time, whatever it's. I mean, I've never been a big drinker myself, and I always say, like, I've got no interest in quitting because I know I can take it or leave it. Like, I really don't care to have a problem. I can sit in a club with a load of people getting off the tits, and and I'll happily have a glass of water. But in the same token, I love my red wine, and if I feel like I want it, I want to be able to have it. But then I'm not in a position where I guess people have got to look up to me about it. I think. I mean, sometimes, I'll argue with my missus about drinking because, she is a big fucking drinker. And, I could see at times like that where if I was trying to say to her, well, you quit. I don't need to quit, by the way, because I can take it or leave it. But I guess, it will be very difficult for her to quit if I didn't join the party.
Look, people are different and their circumstances are different. But I just know if I try and tell someone to quit drinking and they see me drink, they're going to be less likely to quit.
Yeah,
so it's cut it completely. And I think there's a lot of scenarios where, I don't know, let's say there's a dad who preaches about everything in moderation, drinking in moderation, where it's okay for him in moderation, but his son might not be able to have it in moderation. He might now be in rehab because he's seen you drink. So it's fine for you, but it's not fine for him. So if you cut it completely, maybe he cuts it completely. So that's just how I've always seen it. And I've had someone who I lost last year, nephew, like he was more like a little brother. He really struggled with alcohol and drugs. So was just another reason of why I need to do this and why this is a big purpose for me and why I just have to be completely clean.
It's porn that they're all talking about online for cutting out now, isn't it?
Someone literally DM'd me yesterday with a porn addiction.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. That's not something that I've like had to coach people on or even thought about.
I don't really say it's an addiction. It's certainly not a problem one, is it?
I don't know. I think it's less spoke about than alcohol, so I don't really know how it affects someone's life or what. I
can't get my head around it, but again, I guess if you don't get something, you don't get it, do you? Whether it's booze,
you probably
drugs,
don't want to
porn,
get it.
Porn,
if you
whatever.
get it, you might be a fucking addict.
But I've trying to ask myself if all the influencers who are talking about it now, I can't decide if they genuinely think there's an issue there or if it's just something to get some
content.
Yeah, some content and a bit of interaction. You see all these successful guys go, porn is ruining your life, because if you watch those videos, then you think they're real.
Yeah.
They better be fucking real, If my missus wants to stay with me, she better perform like the girls on 4Tube.
It's weird. I don't know, man. It's like, because there's not enough I've not seen enough about it. I've not spoke to someone who's had the problem enough about it to understand how it would ruin someone's life.
Well, your client, your person who DM'd you, so what's he saying? How does it affect his life?
It was just yesterday. We've had one back and forth. So I'm literally curious to see okay, why do you think it's a problem? So he thinks it's a problem. Obviously, he wouldn't have said it. So, but does he think it's a problem just because other people are saying it's a problem, or not? The only problem I can see is it's got to have an effect on an in-person relationship. Like, it can desensitize your mind. So when you have the real thing, it's not as attractive, or your mind's just too used to that. I think that could probably, it could be a relationship breaker, I think, for sure. Yeah. Maybe productivity, if you're just spending all day watching porn, you're not very much productive, are you? So those, but yeah, in terms of anything else, I'm not really aware of anything else. What do you think?
What do I think? I mean, I think, look, okay, like you say, from a productivity perspective, yeah, but then that's like anything. It's like if you're addicted to social media, if you're addicted to YouTube or something, I mean, it's all going to keep you away from work. I think, people talk about, oh, well, the things that you see on porn, it's just not real. I think it depends what you're into, doesn't it? I do like a fruity sex life, and whether or not I don't watch much porn, quite. Just because we're in Dubai now, and I haven't got a VPN, so I've not really been watching it. I mean, back in England or when I'm in Europe, I do like to flick it on for a bit here and there. But even if I'm watching, whether I'm watching it or not watching it, I still want to do spicy stuff with the missus.
Yeah, I think that's. I think
that comes down to a communication thing. Because whether or not I watch porn, if I was with a missus who wanted boring missionary sex with the lights off, then we're not going to last very long.
Yeah. I do think that's what I see them claiming to be the problem, is messing with a real relationship. I can see that. Like if your mind is just fully trained to just watch something on a screen, then when it comes to real life, you're not going to be as susceptible to it. That's the only thing I can
But
really,
you should see
really
like a coaching program.
But as well, you're older, you're older as well though. So you're more experienced. Maybe you're a young guy who's 16, 17, who's literally their whole life has just been that. And now they're not even going out to meet girls, and their sex drive for the real thing isn't as much. I can maybe see how it can be destructive, for sure.
I did talk about not meeting girls in person. I did see a mad stat the other day. I forget the exact numbers, but just for the context, it was something like 65% of guys up to the age of 24 have never approached a girl in person. I think it was something like that.
I've heard it as well. Yeah, I think it's linked to that for sure, but then I think just social media as well.
But it's funny how different generations or different times change though. I think, I've done a bit of Tinder, done a bit of Bumble. I always say I have the worst luck. Maybe I need to learn how to do a better Tinder profile, or use somebody else's picture instead of mine. But put
the boat on there. Right?
Exactly. I always say if you want to have a successful Tinder profile in Dubai, you've got to have a picture with a boat. You're going to be holding a white fish in Namos. You're going to be stood outside Billionaire nightclub. But yeah, I guess maybe it's just a generational thing, but I just can't get my head into the online dating stuff anyway.
It's crazy, but that's all they know now. From a young age, they've always had the internet. We haven't always had the internet, so it's all they've ever known. So I get it. Like what we were asked, what other option did we have? there wasn't anything. You had to go out. You had to approach. It had to be in real life. But here, everything's just online. You approach girls in DMs now. That's how it is.
We've taken quite a conversational departure.
Yeah, we swerved off there massively.
I just wanted to bring porn into the conversation.
You're waiting for it.
So what kind of clients are you working with here in Dubai?
Well, a lot of them is online.
Okay.
I have one client in Dubai. A lot of them are online. They're from the UK.
The one in Dubai, do you physically see them then, or do you keep them?
I do naturally, yeah, because we play football together. So Samir, who comes football as well,
he's lost some fucking weight. That guy.
Yeah, but he's done really well. He's done really well. And
I said that to you. It was last week, I think we played, and I saw him. And it's not that I don't see much of him. He comes to most football games, but he just visibly lost so much weight.
Yeah. He's lost like a good couple kg. Not been, how long has he been there for? Maybe like 4 or 5 weeks. He's done well. He ain't my best client either.
And I was going to say, he must have lost more than a couple of kg.
I think he's lost about, I have to check on the app, but he lost maybe about 5 kg,
really?
Which is a lot. Like you go to the gym and hold a 5 kg dumbbell, it's a lot to be carrying around that. That's what I get everyone to do. When they drop weight, 5 kg, go to the gym, pick up a 5 or 6 kg dumbbell, and you feel how much you just lost, and you was carrying that around. It's mad when you think about it.
And how did he do it? Just eating better?
Good habits. Yeah, good habits. The main thing, everyone knows how to get fit. Majority of people know how to get fit. They know what to do in the gym, or that they have to go to the gym, or they have to run. They know roughly the nutrition's the hardest thing. They roughly know what they should eat, even though there's a lot of things that they think is healthy, which actually isn't. But majority of people know how to eat and go to the gym. But a lot of it is just beliefs, mindset beliefs. A lot of them just believe that it's okay to not be in shape. They don't see the impact it has on their kids to not be fit, not be healthy, to not go to the gym. Like my kids literally see me as a superhero just because I lift some weights in the garden, and they love it. So it makes them do the same thing, because behavior is a kid's language. They literally just replicate what they see, not even what they hear. So I try and give them as much purpose as possible and as much reason to be fit. And that's what's getting fit is one thing, then they have to stay fit. And the only thing that's gonna get them to stay fit is the mindset and the beliefs that they have. So if they believe now that they have to be fit because their kids are watching them all the time, then they're going to be a lot more likely to do it, and a lot more likely to stay on track. So just with good habits. Accountability is the main one. The fact they spent money, so now they have to do it. They're actually losing something if they don't do it. And gym, nutrition, accountability, and that's it. Some of them that really struggle with accountability, I've made a few, not make them, but I've advised them to go onto their social media, because a lot of them are like entrepreneurs, they're coaches, they have people that follow them. I get them to go onto social media and announce that they're on this journey and that they're going to go to the gym every day. They're going to post it every day. So now they feel like they have to. And now they are. Like one guy I did that with, he's lost 5 kg in like 6 days. Sorry, 3 kg in 6
cut his leg off.
3 kg in 6 days. And Yeah, so he's on a good track. So literally, I was going to go person to person, company to company, and just try and push health and fitness as much as possible. I just feel like that's my purpose now. That's what I've chose my mission to be.
And have you found the business side of it? Because I mean, obviously, you know what you're talking about from a fitness perspective, from a mindset perspective. You've got all that, but you are now running a fitness business, a coaching business. How are you finding the business side of things?
Yeah, that's the harder part. To be fair, fitness business is probably maybe one of the easiest to understand. Like, it's not as complex as maybe some other businesses. It's not as complex as like property, for example. So it is tough, but like mentorship wise, I pay for a mentor. He's obviously been there, done it. So that helps a lot. So yeah, anything I'm not good at, anything I don't know, I'll just pay for a coach. And I'm a coach myself. So that's also how I get them to come on the program, because I believe in coaches and I'm a coach myself. That's how I'm like, if you can't get fit, just get a coach. It's hard for me to run a business because I've never done it. So you've never been an athlete, you've never been fit in your life. So just fucking pay a coach. That's what I do. And I don't know something, I just pay a coach. So that helps with the business side.
And what's the plans and what does the future look like? You staying in Dubai? You growing an online business from here?
Yeah, definitely here for the foreseeable. I can't really see myself moving other than the fact of my 2 kids play football. They're very good footballers for their age. If they get older and they want to go to Europe and play at a high level, then I'm torn. That's going to be it's a good problem to have, but it's going to be tough because I definitely don't want to go back to the UK to live. Can't see myself living anywhere else. I can only see Dubai, and I want to be at their games every single game. I want to follow them around. So that's going to be a tough call. But until then, I'm definitely in Dubai. Going to build the online coaching company and some in-person stuff as well. I definitely want to do fitness events here. I definitely want to go into companies in Dubai and train their staff, train the CEOs, the owners, the founders. And I really want to make a point, because I argue with entrepreneurs all the time about the correlation between fitness, health, and business performance. Because one of the objections I always get is that they're too busy with work. But I'm like, no, but if you're fitter and you're healthier, your work would actually improve. So instead of working 10 hours, work the 9 hours, take the hour for fitness, and your 9 hours will be sharper. They'll be more effective. And
how do you prove that to them? I mean, have you got an example that can prove it to them, or do you just have to make them give you a chance?
I think people instinctively know that anyways. But yeah, in terms of something tangible, do you know how like a sales trainer would go into a company, right? And then teach all the guys sales, and then hope their numbers go up. And like, okay, he came in here, now we're up 20%, for example. I'd love to do that for fitness. I don't think anyone's done that before. But whether it works or not, at least they got fit, at least.
Well, you can come and do that to some of my sales team. I'll find you the fat ones, and we'll check in before, we'll check in after.
Yeah, let's do it. But don't just you know what I mean? They don't even have to be out of shape. If they just use the gym how I use the gym. I'm not even talking like aesthetically. I'm talking like mindset wise. It's just like stress levels. It just helps you overcome so much stress. You have so much more clarity. Your ideas are cleaner. Your just outlook on life is way more positive when you do the gym. Like my kids know the difference between my character in the mornings when I've done gym and when I haven't done gym. I just come with better energy. I've got more patience. I've got a shorter temper when I don't do gym, and I've not been active. So just to make people feel better, and how can their work not improve? How can they not have more confidence on the phone? How could they not have a better ability to solve problems? So that's what I want to prove. If I can do it with numbers, that'll be amazing. So I'm gonna give it a go.
Well, I'm looking forward to following the journey with you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for being here. It's been a pleasure to chat. And obviously, despite knowing you for a while myself, I don't know all of the backstory, so it's been good for me to listen. I'm sure the guys at home have loved listening as well. If anyone wants to reach out, follow you, join your coaching programs, give yourself a little shout out.
Yeah, best place to go is my Instagram, Kev Stewart 93.
And do you have a website and things as well, or do you
just all run through my socials. Yeah, all run through socials. Kev Stewart 93 on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, but I mostly operate on Instagram.
Cool. All right, buddy. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me on.
Bye bye.
Cheers.